Thinking about buying a franchise? Don't go it alone. Just like a buyer's agent in real estate, you deserve someone who's on your side every step of the way. That's where Todd Abraham, the franchise guy, comes in. Todd's consulting services are completely free to anyone looking to buy a franchise. He'll represent your interest, make sure all your questions are answered, and walk you through the entire buying process. With Todd in your corner, you'll have the best chance for success from your first call to the day you hold the keys to your new business. So before you buy a franchise, talk to someone who knows the industry inside and out and works for you. Call Todd Abraham, the franchise guy, today at 423-381-0925 for a free, no-pressure consultation. That's 423-381-0925. Your future in franchising starts here. All right, I'm hit the Hello, good evening. My name is Todd Abraham. You are listening to the Franchise Marketing Systems Client Spotlight podcast series on franchiseradio.net. And tonight we are privileged to have with us Mr. Tom Mirabella, who is the president and founder of Wingman Marketing. Did I say that right?
Wingman Planning, we're a marketing agency.
Wingman Planning. Did I say your last name correct?
Mirabella, yep.
Perfect. So, marketing is one of my passions, and it's something that I love the creative side of it. And I was looking at Tom's website here, and the website, the primary website is wingmanplanning.com, just like it sounds. And Tom, you've been in the marketing business for quite a number of years, right?
16 years, sir.
16 years, and you really should check out the website because he said it's a video that plays on the homepage, but it's like scrolling, fading graphics. It's very neat. And blue just happens to be my favorite color, so that's even more exciting. So one of the things I love about your franchise opportunity, not only is it a low-cost opportunity, but the fact that when somebody buys a franchise with you, you guys are doing all the fulfillment. And I think that is a very, very cool concept. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got in the marketing business,
Sure.
and what inspired you to franchise your business?
Sure. So I started my business in 2009. I worked in corporate America for, the first 7 years, 8 years out of college. I worked for Fortune 500 companies. I worked for Fortune 10 at the time. And, I just thought I could do it. I could help guys that are small businesses, and be more impactful than I was in the corporate environment. In the corporate environment, it's very political. Yet, you do, as long as you show up to work, you do your job. At that time, it was very, safe job. But at the same time, I thought that I could make a bigger impact. So, I started this idea to help contractors because I felt that, they didn't have marketing departments and they didn't have people to help them. They were, on the road in a lot of cases. They weren't sitting behind the desk, looking at different marketing. That there was a time when people were looking to get websites built and start, not the start of the online game, but Google pay per click was kind of, was happening, and people wanted to take advantage of that. So, I left corporate America with the idea that I could start a company and help small businesses grow.
Well, now, did you go to college for marketing?
I did. I went to Marist College, which is now Marist University in Poughkeepsie, New York, and I graduated with a bachelor's of science in business administration with a concentration in marketing at the time.
Very cool. So, Wingman Planning, what various types of marketing do you do?
We do, we start with building websites for companies. We do internet advertising in the sense of we handle SEO, pay per click, social media posting, social media management, social media ads. We do the video production for those services, and then we do traditional advertising, traditional marketing, and we create brochures. We create print graphics. We do graphic design. So, we were across the board. We try to be able to help customers end to end.
That's cool. Now, how big is your team that works with you?
I have a team of 20 plus. We're probably closer to 22, 23 at this point. And the idea is, we bring on people to help us, as the work continues to grow and we continue to grow and provide services for our clients.
So, what is your ideal client like? Is it just small business, small to medium-sized business? Do you have any big businesses that are your clients?
We're mostly small to medium-sized businesses. We have some local larger companies in our area, but for the most part, we're not dealing with any publicly traded companies. We're not dealing with any companies. Most of our clients fall in the, you know, million to, 15, $20 million in annual revenue. Um, and have are either a small team that's growing, a team that is that's established but needs help with their marketing, but smaller businesses we deal with.
Very cool. So now, at what point did you get the concept to franchise your business? What led you that down that path?
I was thinking about how to really help entrepreneurs and other business. Owning a business, as is hard. I say it every day. I also have a podcast called Grit Won't Quit. So I speak to business owners, weekly too. And I say it often. I say owning a business is very hard. It's not an easy task. It's not for the weak. It's not for the people that are faint of heart. Like, it's hard. So I thought about all the things that I had to overcome to make Wingman successful very easily. If I wasn't kind of a
Didn't have
blockhead,
that grit.
if I didn't have the grit, if I didn't have the tenacity, very easily I could have quit, roll, kind of packed it in and said, I'm going to go back and work in corporate America. Had a very good run in corporate America, and I just thought I could do better. I thought I could help more people. I thought I could, do more things. But very easily, if I didn't have that grit, I could have just went back. But I thought about it. People don't make it because there's so many obstacles. You have to find, think about it in my world. I have to find people that are interested in my marketing services. I have to make them want to purchase services from me. Now I got to bill them for these services. I have to follow up with them about these services. I have to do the work, and I have to, do the bookkeeping and do the accounting and send them an invoice and all these other things. And when I started, I was 29, 30 years old. I wasn't married. I didn't have any children. So I could work whatever hours were needed to make this a success. And again, after just quitting a nice job at the time, I had to make it work because otherwise the egg's on my face, right? So I worked and did whatever needed to be done to make that happen. And I look at it and say most people can't do that. They can't work around the clock. And then when I did get married, my wife was really very supportive of my business and what it meant to me, and that I'm everybody's wingman and people call me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. My phone rings. But I realized though, if I can bring some of these things back to an entrepreneur who is thinking about doing a business or owning his own business, but then he thinks about all these factors I just told you, and it's like, it's too much. But if I can be the fulfillment house for them, if I could, my staff can answer the phones for them, and they don't now they bring their overhead down. Is a silent killer. I mean,
It is a killer. Yes, it is.
overhead is very hard, but at the same time, if you want to look big and you want to act as if, you need that overhead, right? You can't do it any other way. So when I look at this, I say, if I can give them a support staff, if I can give them the tools to help them educate themselves to learn how to sell, and if I can help them meeting with clients and helping them deliver the message the right way because maybe they don't know how to say it, and then I can fulfill on it, well, all they have to do is be ready, willing, and able to be the digital mayor of every town, of all these towns, And now all of a sudden the Wingman name gets spread because we're helping and putting people in place and educating and then fulfilling for them. So now all they have to do is really be out there being the mayor of the town.
Selling the products, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
And I
So,
think the benefit of compared to just being a sales representative of a company is you have ownership. You own that territory. You want to sponsor the Little League team in your town? Great. Sponsor the Little League in your town. Versus if you work at a corporation, a Wingman or anybody else, and you say, "Hey, I want to sponsor the baseball team," and you're a sales guy, and they're like, the management team says, "No, it's not in our budget," or "We don't do that," or that doesn't align with us. As a sales agent of a company, you don't have that flexibility. You don't have that ability to say, let's do this.
well, yeah, or they, like you said, corporate America with all the politics, where they say, "Well, I just don't like this guy, so I'm not going to
Yeah.
do what he has." Yeah, I had a short stint in corporate America back in like '03, and it only took me one time to realize it's like this is really not for me. So when a franchisee comes on board with when you say fulfillment, you're not just talking about fulfilling of like the design part and the fulfillment of that, but you're actually talking about answering the phones and like the more robust than I thought when you'd mentioned it to me.
Well, we're gonna so just to clarify, we're gonna offer the franchisees the ability. So if you come to me and say, I want to be a franchisee, and we you get through the process. I want to be able to make your life as best as I can make it for you. I want you to be successful. So if you say to me, I'm looking to hire a team and I'm going to, do this and this, and, well, then maybe you don't need that help. But if you say, look, I'm just trying to get in at a very, at a low entry, low cost of entry, comparatively speaking, to starting a business, and I want to start out, well, then let us help you answer the phones. Let us help you run your credit card so that, again, it's all those little things along the way that was hard. I found those things to be really hard, and I want to help people because I did it. I lived it. I understand it. I know everything about it. Like it's overwhelming. And then you have one more thing to do always. Like, and again, the idea of having one more thing to do is good in a business because it means you have work. But on the other side is if you could take some of those hassles out of the business and you could focus on being the best wingman you can be, life is better.
Yeah, that's very cool. On a side note, I was looking at, we're actually on a Zoom call here. If you're listening to just the audio portion of this, but Tom's got this placard over his desk, over his window. It says, "Stay humble, hustle hard." I like that. So let's talk about the cost of the franchise, and because I know, like we talked about this when we talked on the phone, it's definitely on the lower side of the average cost of a franchise in any sector: food, home services, corporate, whatever it might be. So let's talk about that, and then what sort of a territory do they get with their franchise?
Sure. So it's $35,000 franchise fee. And then, we're projecting another in our FDD, we're projecting another about $24,000 dollars, so an all-in investment of about 59,000, and that includes, all the setup, all the technology, all the subscriptions, a 3 month runway of operating expenses. And there's going to be some franchisees that are going to take retail space or space, and there's going to be others that can work out of their home. I believe I have two systems running myself. I believe having the space is beneficial because it gets you out into the community. It people see your space. I was at a networking event last night and someone said, "Oh, I've seen your location here." And I think that, there is a value to that for the cost of entry. I believe that it makes financial sense to get that, but we're not going to require that in every case.
Well, and the good part is that they can start, like you said, the flexibility on the lower side of the investment. They can start working from home, and then once they get, 6 months under their belt, they start generating a client base. At that point, they're much more apt to be able to afford a space. So that's really good news. So we can't talk about dollars and cents as far as promised income. I don't know the best way to say it, but can you give them an idea maybe of your revenue after your first year and maybe some kind of expectation if they work hard, what they might expect to make or
I expect that the average franchisee, after a solid year to year and a half in the business, their revenue is going to be around $400,000.
fantastic. And again, that's not a promise of income. Like I
No.
said, we have to be careful, but the from my perspective, and I've interviewed a lot of franchisors who talked about different. The first thing that I see is that any franchisee with you with any get up and go should be able to get that initial investment back in the first year, no problem, and a good deal more. And that really in business is the first goal is to go from what we call the red to the black, where you've recouped your initial investment and now all your costs are your operating cost. But I like the fact, like you said, that you are even willing to help them close the deals as they get started. So it sounds like you've got a complete fulfillment system here, and that's not something that you hear about with every franchise. So a
We're
lot of very
different in that regard. I want to, success success changes for me every day. But as we roll into this franchise model, success now becomes my franchisee's success. So if they're successful, that makes me successful. And again, we're going to make it so that we're going to help you. We'll get on Zoom calls. We'll, depending on where it is, we'll be there to help them. But I know the model. I know how it works. I know how we've done it. I know how we've done it over the years. And um, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but it's not, if you're out there talking to people every day and you're out there doing these things, you're hosting podcasts, we found that from our podcast, we have a very high amount of people who convert once they're on the podcast. They convert to customers of Wingman. So we want to take these ideas. We do a lot on social media. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, my face is on I'm in videos 5 days a week. So we know that works. So we want to take all these things that have worked in our playbook and we implemented it in two locations so that we made sure we validated 2 years ago. We picked up a second location, and the idea was that we wanted to validate that what we said in the first location that we could replicate in the second location. The second location is in a beach area. It's a very seasonal. It's a 12-week a year um, town, a 15-week a year town for the most part, and we validated the economics there, and we found that we've been able to prove out our economics that we're getting the customers there as well. So which makes us believe when we go into bigger towns, we're both the locations are in shore towns, and I believe if we go when we go into bigger towns, it's going to only be more successful for us.
well, that's great. So now let's talk about the first of all, what is the franchise website? I haven't mentioned that yet.
Wingmanplanningfranchise.com.
Wingmanplanningfranchise.com, spelled just like it sounds. Okay, now when a franchisee comes on board with you, will they be added as a location to your primary website?
Yes.
Okay,
They'll be on our
fantastic.
primary website. We'll help them get the Google Business set up. We'll help them get some social media set up so that they can, see the benefit of this. And again, the nice part is we have a team of people that do this for a living. So, they have the expertise of people that, not every franchise system has that.
Well, yeah, not only that, but even just the simple things, like I've seen many businesses having been in marketing myself for many years, just the simplest thing like a professional Google place page, I mean, a lot of
Yep.
businesses are missing that, and in fact, I was helping a client of mine today, and the business that she ordered, one of the business she orders from, like their website wasn't even up. And I was like, wow, I mean, it's just the little things, but they make a big
Crazy.
difference. Make a big difference.
It's
Um,
definitely crazy these in this day and age not to have GMB and not to have a website and not to be utilizing the socials. And again, you look at AI search. AI search is now populating off all these things, so you have to be there.
Yeah. And funny story again on a side note is I was creating a graphic last night for a Facebook group I created. And so I'm trying out this AI, Chat GPT and some of the other ones. And they're not as intelligent as they claim to be, because I was trying to do a graphic with the letters of the alphabet in a Scrabble tile format, and that they did a great graphic. The design was great, but they kept leaving out letters of the alphabet.
That's crazy.
And I finally got one that got it right, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So now let's talk about you're ready to go. You're ready for franchisees to come on board. So let's talk about how did you come to be connected with franchise marketing systems, and what's been your experience with them so far?
So far, so good. I'm very happy with Anthony, Chris, Paul, and the team. They came to me. I spoke to Paul probably 3 years ago when I had this maybe thought of franchising, but the time wasn't right. I had to, kind of streamline some processes within my own office. I needed to employ some people to kind of do some of the heavy lifting that we needed done as we explore this. And along the way, I continued to interacting with Paul, and we would send an email a couple times a year to each other. And then when I was getting closer last year, he said, "I think we should loop in Anthony and Chris." And they met with me, and I met with the team, and I just thought it was the right fit for what we're trying to do. They understand our business, which makes it a lot easier. We're not your traditional franchise. I'm not a fast casual restaurant. I'm not a home service franchise. I'm a marketing company. And again, most people are like, well, why would I want to be part of marketing? And again, to me, it's about the fulfillment. It's about the lower cost of entry. You can go into a food franchise and you're into it for 400,000 before you even open the door.
That's right.
Where and here again, and one other thing that I want to say about our franchise is we have a lot of customers that due to the services we offer are recurring. So we have recurring revenue. So when you look at when you're talking about before, these franchisees are going to come in and every month they're going to have, ABC, tax office, XYZ account, insurance that are going to be recurring because they're using paid search, they're using SEO, they're using services that are an ongoing monthly subscription. So each month you don't have to go out and find X amount of new clients. You have to find some, and you want to grow, so you want to continue to grow. But with some of the services we offer, there's a recurring value to them. And I know from a tenure standpoint how long these people are staying on board based on the quality of work we're doing. So if they get the same type customer, we can expect the same type results.
Well, and not only that, but you have case studies of, successful clients that you have had on board for, whatever length of time. And that is great because, like take somebody, for example, who just graduated college from marketing, and maybe he's not from a well-to-do family, but maybe he's from a family that's got enough money to finance his purchase of a Wingman Planning franchise because
Yep.
he doesn't want to start in corporate America and then, do like you did and grind his way to his own marketing business. So there's a very good candidate right there. So for those of you that are listening, in case you haven't, if you don't know about franchise marketing systems, they are a complete one-stop shop for everything that you need to create a professional franchise. And, we were talking about your website and how really awesome it looks, wingmanplanning.com, but the wingmanplanningfranchise.com, which was created by FMS, is also a very, very good looking professional website. One of the things that FMS does for their clients, they create your franchise disclosure document, which is a legal document that you need to sell a franchise in any of the 50 states. Very complex, but they do so much more for you. They help you promote and sell your franchises once everything is done and all the creative and legal work is done. And they create your operations manual and just so many things. And I've witnessed this firsthand, but they're also also very friendly, very detail oriented, and you cannot ask a question that they probably haven't heard 100 times, but you wouldn't know it by the way that they answer it.
Agree.
Yes, sir. Well, Tom, as a guy that that loves marketing and does it myself on a part-time basis, but yeah, I'm very excited about what you have to offer here. Again, for all the reasons we've already talked about, the low cost investment to get started, which, like you said, is around $60,000, including the franchise fee. That is definitely one of the lower cost franchises in the country in any sector. Your fulfillment thing, I think, is phenomenal. I think that is just, I mean, if I were looking for a franchise to buy, given my love of marketing, I mean, I wouldn't even hesitate to buy a franchise with you just because of all that you're offering. Um, and so, what is your vision for the company in 5 years? Like, how many franchise
I'd
units
like
would
to
you
have
like to
50
see?
systems open, running in 5 years. Again, I think we could do it faster, but I also think that I want to do it right. I don't want to just I've seen it too many times where people open systems, um, and it's not properly trained, not properly running, and then, there's issues. So I'd like to do 50 and five, and then we can, look to expand. And, during that time, putting on the right, personnel, to putting on the right trainers, putting on the right people to help these systems become successful. And I think the beautiful part of our world is the fulfillment. Again, I'm not worrying about, when you look at like a restaurant or, place like that, they're working with, kids that don't understand customer service. My guys understand customer service. We understand deadlines. We understand all these things. So you, as the franchisee, are going to go out there, and you don't have to worry that we're not going to have the job done on time. You're not going to have to worry that, Susie didn't show up today, and now we're short. We have enough staff to move things around to handle it. And again, you're using a team of people that have worked well together. It's a well-oiled machine compared to you either having to hire your own staff, people calling in sick. Like, when I look at this, and again, I know it's mine, but I say it's so easy. We're going to take out all the elements that are hard about owning a business. You're still going to have some bad days. You still have to go out and sell and meet customers. You still have to, deal with the customer service part of it in your local market. But when you take away the stresses of fulfillment, I think that takes a lot of pressure off you.
And therein is the secret sauce right there, because if you get somebody who's a really good salesperson, they're very good at networking, they can say, man, if I can go out there and sell $100,000 worth of marketing, knowing that I don't have to worry about fulfilling it on the back end. So, and
You
knowing that
know,
it's going to get done professionally.
I always say it's about writing tickets. Guys that are good networkers and good salespeople and good, good with people, they're good at writing tickets. They're not usually the guys that are very good at doing the back of the house. They're front guys.
That's right. Well, I've said for years that you can take I can take a good customer service person and make a good salesperson out of them, but I can't take a good salesperson and make a good customer service person out of them
They're
because
usually a different skill set.
yeah, it's a different mindset. Well, that's fantastic news. So, what is the best way someone's interested in possibly buying a franchise with you? You want to give them your direct contact
Sure.
information? Do you want them to go? Okay.
Sure. If anybody's interested in learning more about our system, please visit wingmanplanning.com. There's a franchise tab on the website. Also, you can go to wingmanplanningfranchise.com, and there's a page, there's more information there. If you're interested, my office number is 732-539-5980, and you can reach me there. You could also reach me on my cell phone at 516-521-7482. And again, you could text or call me there to learn more about what we're offering.
Fantastic. And again, my name is Todd Abraham. You're listening to the Franchise Marketing Systems Client Spotlight podcast series on franchiseradio.net. We're talking with Tom Mirabella today. He is the founder and president of Wingman Planning Marketing, wingmanplanning.com, and phenomenal opportunity, really. All in investment, right under $60,000. You can start working from home if so required. And then so somewhere down the road get your office. One last question. Somebody becomes a franchisee, they come on board. Are you coming to their town to help them get off the ground?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They're going to do
Awesome.
training at my in our corporate headquarters, and then we will go also do training there. And again, start so they can start to understand that, the networking marketing. They can understand, how to knock on doors and how to meet people and how to do business. So we want to go to their town so that we can help them, get comfortable in this new world.
So one more time, just give us your two phone numbers for these folks to contact you. And
Sure. 732-539-5980 or 516-521-7482.
all right, Mr. Tom Mirabella, thank you so much. And also, if you are interested in buying a franchise with Wingman Planning, you can also contact me directly, Todd Abraham, 423-381-0925. Mr. Mirabella, thank you so much, buddy. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate time. If anybody buys a franchise through Todd, we'll give them a 10% off through if they mention Todd along the way.
That sounds good, my friend. Good night, everyone.
Thank